Within the Yungan Grottos, formerly the Wuzhou Grottos, lies one of the three most famous ancient Buddhist sculptures sites in China. These statues were built in the 5th century CE during the 6th dynasty period, the Wei dynasty, which lasted from 220 to 598 CE. Located at the foot of Wuzhou Mountain, Yungan entices visitors from around the globe with its gigantic grottos that were carved out from the stony and earthy mountainside. Near the northern Wei capital of Datong, previously Pingcheng in Shaanxi province, the carving of the caves were undertaken at the advice of a monk from western Gansu, Tan Yao, in the early 460s. Tan Yao was a monk who brought religious icons from one end of the Silk Road to another. Tan Yao oversaw the carving of 5 out of 252 caves 5 through 20. The caves are the earliest remaining examples of the flowering of Buddhist religion in China. These caves were carved out around 460 CE after the persecution of Buddhism between 446 and 452 CE in China. We will be looking at the seated Buddha in Cave 20 in the Yungan Grottos. Cave 20 originally depicts a trinity of Buddhas, which represent the past, present, and future Buddhas. The huge seated Buddha in the middle is a representative icon at Yungan, while the Buddha on the left has somehow vanished. Now, since I have mentioned that, you may be wondering where it has gone, or probably not. Well, the answer to that is there is no definite answer because, as you will later on hear in my presentation, the statues were once forgotten for about 15 centuries, so there is little evidence surrounding the disappearance. The will of the Chinese state is reflected in the Buddhist belief during the Wei dynasty, which led to the building of the Buddha statues in the grottos with imperial instructions. The seated Buddha is carved to represent the images of Emperor Tao Wu, who united the war-torn northern region through Buddhist ideas. The Wei family were also important patrons of the arts and, with exception of period, supporters of Buddhism. The statue's pose and clothing style also form idealized versions of a god. The pose is called Daya Mudra, which is used for attaining spiritual perfection and also symbolizes wisdom, peace, and strength. The seated Buddha in Cave 20, along with many others, were left forgotten from the end of the 5th century until the 20th century due to various persecutions of the Buddhist religion. Despite being forgotten for centuries, the statue still remains in peak condition due to its close form, which draws the eyes to the center of the piece, which is made from sandstone. Other statues in the grottos range from 2 centimeters to 17 meters high. The seated Buddha cave in Cave 20 is marbling standing at 13.7 meters tall, which is about 44.11 feet tall. For reference, that is around 9 times my height and around 7 to 8 times the height of Mr. Loggins. The statue is carved by hand and has a rough texture to look like wood, which is inspired by the Buddhist arts in China at the time and certain smooth features for details such as the face. There are also square holes in the back walls, once socketed the beams of wooden protective facade, now long gone. The overall look of the statue is influenced by Indian Gajra Buddhist art, Persian, Greek, and Chinese traditional arts that swept along the Silk Roads. The clothing resembles those of northwestern India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan within the period. The statue is made of sandstone, allowing it to withstand time, and is ideal for carving. The statue requires minimal repairs. There is a tale that says the statue may have been hidden within a wooden temple, but the front side of the temple collapsed, revealing the Buddha. This idea developed because there has been a recent reconstruction of wooden temples surrounding other Buddhist statues in the grottos. The caves were carved and painted, but over time the caves have been repainted about 12 times, making it hard for archaeologists to determine the cave's original color. Around 4,000 craftsmen worked on this project in various grottos to complete the Buddha statue carving. In summary, Emperor Tao Wu wanted the statue as a gift to his followers who followed his rule under the Buddhist religion, but Tan Yao, along with many other Buddhists, decided to carve out 252 caves within 51,000 statues to represent China's thriving economy at the time within the Yungan Grottos. This time period is also known as the Golden Age of Yungan Grottos carving because it later influenced cave art along with many others in China, since the Buddhist tradition of religious cave art achieved its first major impact in Yungan. While it developed its own distinct character and artistic power, one of the more prominent ones being the seated Buddha in Cave 20 oversaw by Tan Yao.